our laser trophies and plaques.
And welcome everyone to another edition here of Coach Talk. We have as our guest today, head softball coach from New Mexico Highlands, Kevin Jannisch. Coach Jannisch, thanks for joining us this morning.
Appreciate you having me. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, Coach. So tell us, Coach, just a little bit about you and your recruiting style and the type of things that you look for in players.
Sure. Well, I'm born and raised in Central Illinois. I grew up in a little small farming community called Maroa. Played high school football and baseball. Played for a couple state titles in football, one for baseball. Played Division III football. I was a long snapper. Ended up having ACL surgery at the end of my career. Softball was big in my area. Really, men's fast pitch was big in my area up until about high school, where the girls started playing in high school. So I've been around it. I coached at the women's major level, which was probably the most talent I've ever been around. Lots of Division I players, and turned that into coaching in college. As far as recruiting goes, I mean, I think it's important to develop relationships, that are going to be beneficial for not only our softball team and our university, but also for the student athlete that we recruit. In a weird kind of way, COVID has kind of helped underscore that philosophy. Talent, obviously, you got to have talent if you're going to be successful, but I was telling a recruit just this week, I said, I never used to FaceTime my recruits, and now I usually don't even take a call without seeing their face. And, that's been kind of the best way to get to know someone now, since we're New Mexico is in a situation where we've got a liberal governor. It's been hard her mandates have been pretty tough. And so there's a quarantine to come into the state. So it's been hard to get any of our prospective student athletes on campus. So we do a lot of Zoom and a lot of FaceTime, but we're really just kind of looking for the best fit for us, someone who understands kind of what we're trying to accomplish here and wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, how has the situation there in New Mexico impacted you guys as far as preparation, season happening, and even recruiting?
Yeah, I'll take the last one first. Recruiting, like I said, we have a class of 5, and we're probably going to add a couple more.
Okay.
And I've seen none of our players have been on campus, and I've seen none of them play in person. And I think if I was a young coach and I was just starting my head coaching career, I'd be a lot more concerned. But, going back to the relation building, you get to know coaches, you get to trust coaches. For instance, one of our 21 incoming freshmen plays for in high school one of my former college players. So she, Jennifer Bocanegra knows exactly what we're looking for. And so, I trust her when she says, hey, she's your type of player, and she can compete at your level. Coach Bocanegra played at that level, so she knows. And so, that's the impact there. I mean, certainly it's been a leap of trust, a little bit, a leap of faith as far as what you're evaluating on film. One thing I told myself early on, though, I said, that it's rare that I do proper evaluation and then I show up and they're not as talented as I thought they were on film. Yeah. It's been pretty rare. I've been able to trust myself that way. So then it becomes just getting to know the players and are they the right fit? Are they the right personality? You do your best to show the campus. I think it's probably more frustrating for the student athletes than it is for me and my staff. So you do the best to kind of show them, hey, here's what you're getting into. I know you can't visit right now, but as soon as we tell them, as soon as you can visit, we want you on campus. We're not trying to hide anything. We want you here. And I think everyone's kind of understood that.
So if you guys did a lot of walking around with the iPhones and FaceTime showing campus that way?
It's funny. Well, we're lucky in that the university has a really good a really well-produced virtual tour.
Okay.
And it's, it's right on the front page of our website. And I try not to tip it because I want to see their face when I see it. And I kind of want to walk them through it. So we do it on Zoom. And then, but it doesn't focus on our facilities as much, the softball facilities. So we do kind of tack on the end of it. We show them the weight room, which we're proud of. We show them the Student Athlete Success Center, which is kind of in its infancy here at Highlands. And Shanna Dominguez is kind of the head of that, one of our athletic directors. And then we take them, to our clubhouse, which again, I'm proud of for this level. And our field is is a good facility. We need some makeup and we're going to put some signage up and color it up a little bit, but it's really at its raw. It's really, it shows well on the iPhones. And so, yeah, it's been different. It's been weird. In fact, I think recruiting probably has changed forever now. There's so many things we can do. Yeah. There's so many things we can do that we didn't think of or didn't do before.
Or you weren't comfortable with at the time.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And then as far as preparation goes, again, I know everybody kind of looks at us and feels sorry for New Mexico because our mandates are a little stronger, but it started out in groups of 5, max groups of 5, and that played perfectly into what I've kind of always done as a head coach, and that is we have we call them early outs, but they're individual workouts, which are just small hitting groups, and the pitchers work with their catchers, with my pitching coach Maggie Metz, and so that's all worked really good. And then the small group max or the max group number kind of increased, and we were able to get on the field as a bigger group. And but then we went we did about a month of that, maybe 5 weeks, and then we went backwards a little bit. The mandate went back down, and so we just kind of called it off. The one thing I kind of regret, and I told all the players in their kind of wrap up semester meetings, that I wish we would have scrimmaged more. We were getting to that, and then all of a sudden we kind of got short. But we had lots of things to put in. A new coach. I've been here took over in June, so this is my first fall, and there's a lot of verbiage to learn, a lot of your cuts and relays and your base running and all that stuff. We had a productive fall. Yeah, we were limited, and it was different than most years, but we definitely had a productive fall.
What are some of the things that softball players out there that are looking to present to coaches a 2 to 5 minute video on their skill set? What are some of the things that they should be focusing on in order to make themselves more attractive to want to look at more video and to talk to them more and to recruit them?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I would tell you, I've watched a couple of your episodes, and I don't think it changes much from what the other coaches in the other sports are saying. Number one, 2 to 5 minutes is kind of key. You're only going to keep our attention about that long. Game video is hard to pick out who you are, and to watch you take 5 balls, that you either swung at or didn't swing at before you get a hit. That's kind of, we're going, come on, let's go. But we want to see action. Obviously, most of the time, non-COVID times, the video is just going to get our attention to say, we got to go see this kid play a little, play in person.
Yep.
There are situations, for instance, we took one of our commitments is an Hawaiian. And, obviously it's a little bit harder to see someone, unless your recruiting budget's good. Now, a lot of the Hawaiians will come over and play in Southern California and we'll get a chance to see them. But, COVID plus Hawaii means we didn't get to see her in person either, obviously. And so, but for the most part, we want to see your talents. I mean, no need to show us you running home to first if you can't run pretty fast. No need to show us a rise ball if it's not really a rise ball. So stick to what you do best. Show us what you can add to the team, and then at that point, it's up to us to decide, hey, do I need to see this kid play a little bit more in person and make an in-person evaluation? But definitely, I would say this, and I think this is really important. The way recruiting is done, by and large now in softball is, especially at the under levels. Division I's a little different. They work on a little bit different set of rules, but as far as Division II and NAIA schools and junior college schools, there'll be a showcase and there'll be a camp, for instance, on Thursday or Friday before the actual playing starts, and we go work the camps. The coaches go work the camps, and then we get some expenses paid because of that. They'll pay for hotels, maybe meals, maybe give us camp fee for working as a counselor or a clinician, and then we'll stay for the weekend and watch the games. So what happens is these players who go to these camps will get a list of the coaches that are coming. Yep. And then they'll do their work on their end, and they'll do their emails. Here's one thing I can say for any prospective student athletes out there: attach some video, because if I'm working a camp of, say, 300 kids, I may get 175 emails. But if you don't, so having that many, I can't see everyone. So if you attach video, then I get to pick a little bit, I get to make my initial evaluation and say, okay, I've got to go see this player. I'm going to make sure to pay attention when she comes through my group at the camp. If you only put, hey, I'm going to be playing and here are my game times, I don't have a hook yet. I don't have a reason really to come see you unless something really jumps out. Your GPA might jump out. Your height might jump out. Your statistics, assuming that they're, that's always if they're not embellished. If you had a dozen home runs in your high school or your last high school season, that might stick out. But otherwise, I mean, we need a lot more players than kids that can hit home runs and pitch 65 miles an hour. We need a whole team of players. So video is the best way, for us to kind of say, okay, let's take this to the next level.
The way COVID has impacted everything, and just listening to you, it sounds like video has become a very integral part in the recruiting process for you guys there at Highlands. Before COVID happened, how much weight did you guys put into the social media, the video aspect of it, or was it I get eyes on this kid to make an assessment?
Well, I think it hasn't really changed much as far as our initial evaluation from video is key. Again, if I'm going to a big event and I know you're going to be there and I've seen video, there's a much higher, if I liked my evaluation of you was good, there's a much more likely scenario that I'm going to chase you down and come watch you play in person. So yeah, it's key. Again, there's a situation. And look, we'll put in the time. Coaches will put in the time, but it's really hard. Just like it's hard to watch a whole basketball game, it's really hard to watch a whole softball game. That's 90 plus minutes of just watching a game, and certainly that's what we'll do in person. And but to do that on video, man, our list is never done, and there's always things to do. Especially, Division II, we don't have a director of ops and maybe have a shorter staff. And so our time's a little bit more limited. So, let's get to the meat and potatoes and show me what you can do on the field and show me your hustle and show me your passion. Those things I can evaluate somewhat on video. And again, at least it gets me out there. If all you do is tell me how passionate you are, everybody's telling me how passionate they are. Everybody says that they've been playing for 15 years. Or however long they've been playing, and so I that's obviously good. That's great, but everyone says that. So I don't know. I can't distinguish people just from words a lot of times. Now, every now and then there might be an email come in and you're like, well, I think I need to see this kid. She writes great, and it's And then the other part of it is tell me what you want to major in and why we're a good school for your major. Or tell me that your dad played basketball here back in the 80s, or tell me things that are going to be hooks of why this fit is good for you. I think a lot of times recruits cast a really wide net, and their emails are intended for too big of an audience. You can see those a mile away. Another thing, this is kind of funny because I get this a lot as a first year coach, and that is, I've been tracking you and your team for a long time, and we weren't very good last year. So if you're telling me that, you haven't really done research. I know that you haven't. That you don't know exactly about us. So on the other hand, I'll get emails that say, "Hey, congratulations on your on your new job." And so the text of an email will tell a lot, but eventually, I've got to evaluate you, and the sooner I can do that, the better. I can tell you this year, again, not being able to evaluate in person as much, we identified our top recruits fairly quick. And I think that's kind of the nature of our sport anyway. Division I has always been early, and they're early on, obviously Division I are quicker on most sports. But in our sport, and I think women's basketball is probably another sport, it's nothing for us to have I'm already working on our 2023 class. Now, that's partly aided by the 2022. We don't have any juniors on the roster, so I'm not going to need a lot of 2022s. But I'm working on the 2023 class. That's how far ahead I am. I'm essentially I'm not quite done with the 21 class, but I'm done evaluating. Now it's just a matter of kind of closing a couple situations, and we've got numbers for a full roster, but we're looking for some depth, and that's kind of where we are. So definitely having video out there is big. I can't tell you necessarily that if someone shows a highlight on social media that I'll look at it and say, oh, I got to go see more about this kid. Highlights happen a lot. They're on there a lot. And plus, if I don't know, I have a lot of Facebook friends and Twitter followers that are recruits. But I also know that they also have a lot of coaches on their Twitter friends. And I don't know what level you want to play. I don't know much about you, just based on that social media. I think social media is important to show off your program. And we certainly follow our committed recruits on social media. We want to see what they're doing and what they're up to, because they're people that we're going to spend a lot of time with. And we like them. We love them already. We're going to love them more once they get here. So we have interest. But as a recruiting tool for our sport, I shouldn't say for our sport, but for me, not as big a deal, I think. I know basketball coaches and football coaches do a lot of work on social media as far as just the recruiting side. I can't say for me that's the tool that I've utilized.
I'm Dr. Timothy Hoover, and I'm taking it to the house, and I want you to come and join me every Thursday at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time on Taking It to the House.
Hi, I'm Dr. C. Victor Herman III, and I'm the co-host of Taking It to the House. Come on out and join us. We want you to bring some hot fire. Thursdays, 4:30 Eastern Time, Taking It to the House.
I want you to come with us. Take it to the house with us. You got a burn? Something you want to share? You see our Twitter accounts? You can join us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. Come on, take it to the house with us.
You got that hot fire? Something that stands out that you just know have to take to the house? Let us know on our Twitter handles. We'll be more than happy to read it on air. We want to hear from you. Bring it.
It's really hard to judge a player on 5 at-bats or maybe even 10 at-bats. I mean, the more you see, and so I've told our players here, I'm looking at your approach. Are you confident? Are you swinging at good pitches? You can hit 5 balls right at the shortstop and be out 5 times. It still doesn't, it means you're still a starter. And even striking out, sometimes you're like, well, okay, well, it's just a matter of time. And so I think when you evaluate players, again, we're talking about time, so I don't know that I want to see you strike out, on your evaluation video. But at the same time, if I come and watch you and you have 3 strikeouts, you're not necessarily crossed off my list. Now, it helps if you hit 3 home runs, but if you strike out 3 times and you've been aggressive and you're facing, and it also depends on the pitching you're facing. If you're facing a kid who's going to Alabama and you strike out 3 times, I'm not sure that's fair for us to say, 3 strikeouts, we're not interested. So we can tell a lot in approach and confidence and I know a lot of coaches will say this and it's a little cliche, but what do you do after you strike out? We're going to watch you in the dugout. If I'm there just to see you, I'm going to watch you, and I'm going to watch your demeanor. I'm going to see how you react because, again, cliche, I apologize, but you're probably going to, you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed. Almost, if you aren't, you're going to be an All-American, and we all know it. We all see an All-American, and we're like, okay, she's pretty good. And, otherwise you're going to probably fail more than you're going to succeed for us.
One of the things that, as an assistant coach, I always got the assignment to do was to, anytime we got recruits interested in the program, check out their social media, see what they're posting, see if they're putting anything that's derogatory or goes against the principles of the school, our program, and the direction we're trying to go. So do you guys do a lot of that as well on the softball side?
Well, obviously, if we see something that isn't good, then that's pretty easy. That's a no-brainer. If you can't behave at this time of your life when we're probably watching, and each medium's a little different because I think that young people, both kids who are growing into adults, understand which medium they're on. They may do one thing on Snap and another thing on Facebook. That'll be completely different. I could tell you, I could count on one hand, probably a lot less than one hand, how many times we've canceled a relationship or ended a relationship based on social media. Because I think for the most part, prospective student athletes that we have gotten close to realize the depth of what they're doing. And so, we haven't run across a bunch of players that, have gotten themselves in trouble, but it's happened, and we'll look, and certainly it would be a huge red flag, and maybe more if you put something on there that's not in, that's not in tune with what we're looking for as a student athlete. Again, pretty cliche-ish, but it's true. You got a spotlight. Las Vegas, Nevada, where we are, is 15,000 people, and they love having their university here, but they also, are looking for trouble, and the city will find it, the paper will find it. The university will find it. I'll find it. One thing I tell recruits, I think it's more to look into yourself and say, do I really want to do this? And I'll give an example of what I tell players this. Look, if in your head you think college is going to be one big party, and that's okay, every weekend I'm not going to have my parents there, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to go to the party, and I'm going to do things maybe that aren't the right decisions, I can tell you, don't come here. I'm not saying that if you get caught at a party, I'm going to, and you're doing things that you shouldn't, that I'm going to kick you off the team the first time. I'm not saying that. But if that's your MO and that's what you're going to do continuously, it's going to catch up with you. and you're going to run a lot. Probably you're going to get in trouble a lot, and eventually, if it's a problem on the softball field, I'm going to tell you that our relationship's over. I'll tell recruits if that's your thing, if that's how you think college is going to be, then this isn't the place for you. So you don't have to tell mom and dad, hey, look, because I can't party, I'm not going there. Just tell them you don't want to come here. It's that easy.
Sure.
I didn't get a good vibe, so I don't want to go there. And so everyone, no one gets in trouble and everyone gets out. So we want players. I think basketball uses the term gym rats. Well, we want field rats and cage rats. We want kids that can't get enough. I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to beg you to go out and get extra work in. I'm going to tell you, hey, here's a key. You can go to the cages if you want. You can get in yourself. And then it's up to you to do that. If I make you go out there, it's not going to be very productive. And back to social media, I mean, I may request you, Facebook, obviously, in my generation is still the social media, and I may request a friend. But if you don't ever okay it, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'll find out about you when we need to. And I don't want to sound like a fuddy-duddy. I'm on Facebook as much as anybody, and Twitter. I love scrolling through Twitter and Instagram a little bit. So, we watch and I enjoy it. But, like I said, I mean, you could certainly get in trouble without me being your Facebook friend. But to your point and to your question, yeah, if you're posting things that are red flags for us, we'll steer away. We'll walk away from that.
So how does a recruit get their information to you and your staff if they're interested in your school?
Mm-hmm. Well, emails obviously is always, the easiest way to get to know us or for us to get to know you. Get on our campus. I mean, you need to know as much about us as we need to know about you. If you're interested in, if you're at a camp that we're at and you're interested in our school, come let us know. And certainly let us know why. Hopefully it's more than just the wide blanket and you're telling everybody that, but hopefully there's a reason why, either your selected major or whatever it may be. I heard one of your former interviews, and I totally agree with the coach that was on the show from Kingsville, who said, "Call us up." I mean, I could count. Going back to one hand, I could count on one hand how many times I've been called by a recruit out of the blue. But when I do, I'm like, "There's a reason why it takes guts to get on the phone." This generation doesn't like to talk on the phone. They don't like to put themselves kind of in front a lot of times. If you really want to come to my school, tell me why. Call me up and tell me why. You do that, it'd be really hard, no matter how good or bad of a softball player you are. It'd be hard for us to not to consider you.
And I don't think a lot of kids and their parents realize that they can just pick a phone up and call a coach.
Yeah.
It's really that easy.
Yeah. I'll tell our recruit the first time I talk to him, I say, "Hey, look, there's limits on how many times I can call you, but you can call me all you want. You can call me every day if you want." And up until recently, and Division II is still kind of like this, but the Division I rules used to be you could call up when you're an 8th grader. Well, a freshman, that's probably the more likely scenario. They're recruitable at freshmen. Now they can't necessarily do that as much anymore, but you can call me up your freshman year if you want to talk to me. Am I looking at 24s? Well, I'm not quite there yet, but we're not too far away looking at the 24s. So yeah, I mean, and a parent too. I'm always amazed. I tell all my prospective, I say, look, if your parents want to talk, have them call. I think if I don't have kids, but if I did, I think that's something I would do. I mean, I can call the coach and say, hey, can we talk about, are you going to take care of my kid? Academically, what are your philosophies? I want to make sure they get their degree, and then sure. Yeah. Well, let's talk about ball. Let's talk about, where my kid fits in on your team and, that kind of stuff. It's funny how involved parents are with club teams and high school teams. And, they sure will try to get the high school coach fired, but I don't talk to coaches near as much as I would like to. I mean, again, I will always go out of my way to say hi to a parent, whether in person or even on phone or FaceTime. I had a parent last night. I said, hey, is that your mom in the background? I want to say hi to her. And I think it puts the parent at ease a little bit, and makes them feel like, hey, we're human too. I mean, we put our pants on the same way they do. So,
good deal. Coach, time always flies when you're having fun. Is there any closing remarks you want to make for parents, student athletes out there that may watch this about yourself, your program, your coaching philosophy, and your school?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to be on, Coach. I appreciate this. I think, number one, the chance to talk softball recruiting. Sometimes softball gets kind of forgotten a little bit among the sports, and I get it. We love having a good football team on campus. We love having a good basketball team on campus. So we understand. The other point is that we're in the RMAC. We're in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, and most of the schools are in the Denver area, and then Colorado Mesa is over the Rockies. And so sometimes we get a little bit, we don't get the PR maybe as some of those schools. So the opportunity to kind of get in front and say hi. We're going to put a good product on the field. Our little university's tucked away in northern central New Mexico at altitude, so the weather's great. The facilities are as solid as any D2 school I've ever worked at. And so we kind of feel like we're a hidden gem kind of up in the mountains a little bit. But we want good kids. We want good students. And we want good players. And we want we want you to be all three. We want you to be a good person and a good student first. And, there's a minimum level of talent that I think you need to have to play softball at this level. And certainly we're looking for that as well. Not everyone can play here. But at the same time, if your work ethic is good and you like being a good teammate, that's really what we're looking for. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to kind of visit with you and be happy to do it anytime.
Thank you, Coach Jannisch, for joining us here. This has been Coach Talk. Have a good one.